North of Philadelphia stands America's largest abandoned mansion, 110,000 square feet, 55 bedrooms, 20 bathrooms, marble halls that once echoed with millionaires, a ballroom built for 1,000 guests, an art collection that rivaled the greatest museums in the world. By 2020, the windows were shattered, the roof was collapsing, scrappers had stripped the copper, vandals covered the walls with graffiti. If you search for abandoned mansions in America for sale, Lynnewood Hall comes up first. For years, rumors said you could buy it for $1. Urban explorers posted videos of the decay. Preservationists called it a lost cause. Then in 2023, something changed. This is Lynnewood Hall, the story of how America's greatest mansion nearly disappeared and the $100 million race to save it. Peter A.B. Widener started as a butcher's apprentice in the 1860s in Philadelphia. During the Civil War, he secured a $50,000 contract to supply mutton to Union troops. That was his pivot point. Within 20 years, he controlled Philadelphia's streetcar system. By 1900, he was one of the 10 richest men in America. Widener understood that controlling urban infrastructure meant controlling the city. He owned streetcar lines in Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore. He owned gas companies and electric companies. He co-founded U.S. Steel with J.P. Morgan. He held major shares in Standard Oil and American Tobacco. His fortune was $100 million in 1900, which is over $3 billion today. He was also a major shareholder in the International Mercantile Marine Company, the holding company that owned the White Star Line, the company that built the Titanic. In the Gilded Age, a mansion proved you belonged. So in 1897, Widener bought 480 acres in Elkins Park, Pennsylvania, and hired the 28-year-old architect Horace Trumbauer to build him a palace. Construction took 3 years and cost $8 million, which is $302 million in today's money. Carnegie's mansion cost $2 million. Vanderbilt's Biltmore cost $6 million. Widener spent $8 million before furnishings. The mansion covered 110,000 square feet, 55 bedrooms, 20 bathrooms, 3 stories. The entrance hall rose 3 stories and featured French marble. Crystal chandeliers hung from gilded ceilings. The ballroom hosted 1,000 guests. The dining room sat 40. But Lynnewood Hall was not just a house, it was a museum. Widener worked with Trumbauer and the French firm Carlhian et Fils to create rooms specifically proportioned for his art collection. Rembrandt paintings, Raphael drawings, Vermeer's Woman Holding a Balance. It ranked as one of America's 3 greatest private collections, alongside Morgan and Frick. The estate required 97 staff, 37 inside, and 60 maintaining the grounds. The mansion opened in 1900. For 12 years, it represented the peak of American wealth. Then came April 1912. Peter Widener's son George lived at the estate with his wife Eleanor and their 3 children. The Wideners entertained constantly, with dinner parties, garden galas, and charity balls. Their circle included the Carnegies, Vanderbilts, and Astors. In early 1912, George, Eleanor, and their son Harry traveled to Europe. George sourced silver plates once owned by King Charles II's mistress. Eleanor recruited a chef for Philadelphia's new Ritz-Carlton. Harry, a book collector at 27, hunted rare volumes. In London, Harry bought a 1598 edition of Francis Bacon's essays. He told the bookseller that he would take that little Bacon in his pocket, and that if he were shipwrecked, it would go with him. On April 10, 1912, they boarded the Titanic in Southampton. On April 14th, the ship struck an iceberg. George and Harry died in the sinking. Eleanor survived in Lifeboat 4. Harry went down with the Bacon book in his pocket. Peter Widener lost his son and grandson in one night on a ship his company owned. Peter died in 1915. Eleanor inherited the estate but did not become a broken widow. She remarried explorer Dr. Alexander Hamilton Rice and traveled to South America's Orinoco River. She also built Harvard's Widener Library with a $2 million donation. Before her 1937 death, the art collection was donated to the National Gallery. It was one of America's largest private-to-public transfers, completed by Joseph Widener in 1942. The walls were stripped bare. After Joseph Widener's death in 1943, the 480-acre estate was reduced to 34 acres. In 1952, Faith Theological Seminary bought the mansion for $192,000, a fraction of its original cost. They trained ministers there for 40 years until financial collapse. In 1996, the First Korean Church of New York acquired it through sheriff's sale. But in 2006, a court case destroyed their plans. The court ruled the property was not used for religious purposes. They lost tax-exempt status. Property taxes hit $500,000 a year. The building decayed. Windows broke, roofs leaked, water damaged floors. Scrappers stripped copper. Vandals covered walls with graffiti. In 2012, it was listed at $20 million. No buyers. The price dropped to $16 million, then $12 million, then $11 million. Still no buyers. Around 2014, a myth spread. Lynnewood Hall was for sale for $1. $1 for a Gilded Age palace. The story went viral on YouTube, forums, and social media. But it was not true. Property records show the mansion was never officially listed for $1. The myth likely grew from viral posts, but the actual price remained $11 million by 2019. The myth persisted because it made a good story, and the reality was almost as dramatic. Here is what buying it actually required. $1 million annually for taxes, maintenance, and security. $20 to $30 million for Phase 1 stabilization, sealing the building and fixing the roof. Total restoration, $100 million, and you could not demolish it. It is on the National Register of Historic Places. Any buyer must preserve its historic character. For years, preservationists called it impossible. Then someone proved them wrong. On June 27, 2023, the Lynnewood Hall Preservation Foundation bought the estate for $9 million. Principal donors Scott and Susan Bentley contributed $9.5 million to make it possible. Their goal is to save one of America's largest Gilded Age mansions through the most ambitious restoration in decades. Phase 1 calls for $20 to $30 million for stabilization. Over 60 windows were sealed. Asbestos was removed. The grounds were secured. Phase 2, $25 million for exterior and gardens. Phase 3, $40 million for interior restoration. Total budget, $100 million. But this isn't a private mansion anymore. It's becoming a cultural center. The gardens will be a public park. The mansion will host exhibitions, concerts, and education programs. Partnerships with trade schools will train artisans in historic restoration. As of 2024, the foundation holds $9.82 million in assets and generated $2.24 million in revenue through tours and events. Public tours. Launch in 2026. Site manager Tyler Schumacher calls water damage the formidable foe, but they are fighting room by room to save it before another winter. Lynnewood Hall was built believing wealth was permanent. That world is gone. But the mansion doesn't have to disappear with it. Peter Widener built a house to showcase his art. A century later, it's becoming a museum for shared history, not a private burden, but a public treasure. For the first time in 70 years, the building has a future, not as a monument to loss, but as proof that even America's most endangered places can be saved. The mansion is still standing, and now it's being brought back to life. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more abandonment documentaries from across America.